How you going? It's Jai, that Aussie metal guy here with Crannk, and today I'm having a chat with Lindon Faynes from Grindcore band out of Brisbane, Awful Noise. Lindon, cheers to meet you, man. How you going, bud?
Oh, it's going great, man. Good to finally to be online with you. It's fucking sick. I've heard the channel through my friends in Death Plague. Got a little bit of a child run around the back there causing some havoc, but that's what we're about, havoc.
That's it, man. Exactly. Awful Noise, man. I come across you guys because Tom, through a mutual friend of ours, Tom from Carnal Viscera and that, and he said, man, you got to check out Awful Noise. I checked you guys out. I love grindcore. I love all metal, dude. So, you know, for me, diving into a good grindcore the last couple of days, I've listened to some prog, I've had some melodic. So to dive into Awful Noise and grindcore, man, is absolutely unreal, man. So thank you, man.
No, you're welcome, and thank you, because and Tom is a fucking legend. Love Carnal Viscera. He's actually helping Bubsy with the CDs for our split. That's our COVID-19 split that's coming out. That is going to be sick. Got two bands from overseas, Grimentity from Belarus, and a Canadian band called Mendacity. So it's going to be sick. Like, we're really stoked for that.
Yeah, can you tell me how that all come together?
Well, essentially, the band had just sort of reached a point where it was getting a bit stagnant, and like that's because we had our drummer Pete, one of the founding members, he decided to step down. It just wasn't we couldn't agree on certain things when it came to the music and how the band was run, so we decided just to part as friends, leave that be. But after that, I kind of had to sort of salvage, like get everything back up with Chris, and we were jamming with Rob on bass. We gave him the opportunity to join the band. He's took it, and we wrote these two songs because I originally was just like, let's do a single or something for COVID because it just had started. This is when everyone started raiding the shops, and I was like, this is stupid. I want to write a song about this. And then one song turned into two because halfway through the idea of, let's write this COVID-19 song, I said, let's do another one. And let's make it a split. And then I'd already been talking to Kyle from Mendacity because he's a bass player. I'm a bass player as well. And we were just talking. So I threw it out to them. They were keen. And then I'd started talking to Grimentity. And I was like, let's get these guys in because they're sick. And yeah, that's how it ended up coming. And I just ended up hitting up some supports from the dudes in Huffing Asbestos and Immaculate Defecation. They're sorting the tapes. And then Bubsy, with the help from Tom from Carnal Viscera, Tropical Decay Entertainment, I think he calls it.
Yeah.
The Bubsy's organising the CDs, and really can't wait to have all this stuff physically in my hands. Yeah,
the track you're talking about is Isolation, eh?
Yeah, that's it. That one
Killer track.
that one was written and they were both written and recorded in isolation. Or assolation. A lot of fun with that, but and we did that with because we didn't have, obviously at the time we just parted ways with Pete, and so one of the guys we recorded with Ben Davies and Blake Netherov. Ben is the drummer in the band that him and Blake have called Kyrillian, and he did the drums for that for us just as a favor, and he's an absolute legend for doing that. And Blake did the recording and mixing for us, and then we sent it off to a mate of mine in Perth, Jay Huxtable from Oracle Sound. And yeah, he fucking mastered it. I own that shit, and we're really excited for it. Like, it sounds killer. Like, especially for how quick we did it. But like, we recorded it within a day, you know.
Yeah, it does sound killer, and that split is unreal. What's that come out September, doesn't it?
Yeah, the digital release will be, because right as of now, it's just on YouTube for streaming.
Yep.
You can just watch it off the Grindcore channel. It comes out digitally on the 10th of September, on tape 14th, and on CD the 17th. Soon enough we'll have we will be posting up another single from our full-length album because we've recorded an album with our previous drummer Pete. Chris handled the bass. He used my bass to record, all the bass parts. I did the vocals, and we had a friend of mine, Jake, perform the backing vocals because we've been a band that used backing vocals from our previous bass guitarist and backing vocalist, Brady.
Yep.
So that second single, that's going to be, I can't wait to do it. We're just waiting on a design to come through. That'll be a new shirt design. And then we're going to drop the single. We'll be doing more. We're looking at a film clip, and we'll probably do another lyric video. I'm sure you've probably seen the When Going Too Far Is Not Enough lyric video, which has gotten some good responses and had some pretty funny negative ones as well. Yeah, people calling us Nazis and that because we're just taking the piss out of the whole SJW thing and like the I'm so offended kind of thing. Like we're just taking the piss out of it, and everyone just thought they instantly just jumped onto the bandwagon that we're right wing because we're making fun.
Yeah.
For proving my point lyrically.
Yeah,
So,
there's a lot of social keyboard warriors, mate, that don't back up what they say. You know what I mean? And they're probably the same groups that are running those meme groups that are nothing but silly ass memes and keyboard phrases. Man, I love grindcore, dude, and I want to dive into. Can you dive into that album at all? Are you able to talk about that at all?
Yeah. Like we recorded that with Adam Merker. Absolute sweetheart of a bloke, and like. That he really pulled out the best that he could from those songs. Like they're at their best because we went with him. And then after he mixed it, he gave us the suggestions who we should go to. We went with Jack Control from Enormous Door Mastering, and he did a fantastic job too. Like he did us a huge favor with his work. And so I definitely owe a huge thanks to Adam and Jack for that. There's 12 songs on it. They're all, it's all under 25 minutes, even though it's 12 songs. It's
grindcore.
We're false grind, I guess, because we couldn't keep it under 20 minutes. So, and the recording was done well, like it's not cringe-inducing. So we're clearly posers, But dude, like we've got the back piece up online. I don't know if you've seen the artwork for the where it's got the Death on a Horse.
Okay, no, I haven't yet.
That we even put it up in 3D and 3D artwork as well. That's the back piece.
Yep.
And that's on the lyric video and all that. And like that's by our friend Drainy from the band Second Heart. His artwork is great. And like I really want to announce the full cover, like the album title and the cover work, because it's Nick knocked it out of the park for us. Like honestly, if you're in a local band or Aussie band at all, and you want to stick to an Aussie artist for your artwork, Nick Drainy is the man to go. Like, he's just a rad dude. And
I'll put in links for that if you like as well, so people can check in.
Dude.
Send me some links and I'll chuck them in there as well.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, so what was the recording process like for that album?
It was good in, like, because we went in and did the drums with Pete. This is Pete's first time doing drums of the Pete track, so he really did put himself out of his element there, which, as I said, I really appreciate that he did that. And I think he's actually happy to see the band still going despite, what happened after the recording procedure, because at least it's not going to, all that effort and money and hard, blood, sweat and tears is not going to go to waste. Because and then Chris did his guitars. We ended up meeting up. I went up with him to do the bass parts. And once we got all the mixed musical tracks back, just all the instrumentals, I took some time off because at the time also, I guess because things, as I mentioned before, things had gotten stale and there wasn't a lot of writing going on. And so I started losing a bit of drive. And at the time I was also just not in a good place. And I wasn't practicing. And then when it came to recording, I think I went in there and I'd just gotten over the flu. And it was still in my throat. And like, I just felt so defeated after like failing that recording session. Adam just said, look, man, go home, come back when you're feeling better. So I just took time off. I did some vocal lessons to help me. I just needed someone there to tell me what I was doing wrong and what I was doing right. And a good friend of mine, Pete Bald from Those Who Endure and Disassembling Microcosm. I think I'm saying that right. He gave me lessons and he was an absolute legend for doing that. And then I went back pretty much ready to do it and we got it out there. And then I hit up a good friend of mine, Jake. Jake was in a band called Botchling from the Gold Coast. He's a really good vocalist, like way better than I am. And he did some backing vocals for us because, our very first split did have backing vocals performed by our former bass player, Brady, one of the founding members. It's taken a while, unfortunately, to fill that void. But now we have Rob, who fucking owns it, like his backing vocals on those new songs are great.
Yeah, and that split you were talking about, is that the one with Ignite the Massacre?
Yes, that's it, a German band. They don't think they're together anymore because like we have not heard a thing from them like for a very long time, and like we were meant to get tapes from them. We were meant to send them CDs. We never got the tapes, so we kept the CDs.
Yeah. Tapes too doing well at the moment, man. Like I noticed, like because I follow a lot of grindcore bands, and I love my grindcore. I love all metal, as I'm saying, but I'm noticing with a lot of these grindcore bands, they're coming out with these tapes, like you know, like Meth Leopard and things like that, and they're getting rid of them. No worries, they're making a comeback.
It's like this vinyl's still real big too as well, but like we are looking on that for the album. But tapes are sort of funny. They are a bit of a redundant form because they do deteriorate very quickly. But it is sort of like cool, especially if you can get a really good print. Like I've seen some really good prints. Like you got your standard ones, and I think the split we're doing now, this is the standard print for the album. Because the artwork's so good, we'll probably have to get a speciality done tape to make it look that good. And that's where even if you don't want to, if you're not into tapes, but if you like our music, you might want to be a collector and grab the vinyl, the CD, the tape, and you'll have the digital. Because, you know, Jack Control did the digital, he did it in 4 different versions for online streaming, CD, tape, and vinyl. Like, and we want it because we got it done. We're using it, you know?
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad because I'm actually been getting into my vinyl as well. That's one thing that I'm enjoying diving back into. I remember being a young fella and my mum having a huge collection. So for me, I'm loving building up a vinyl collection. I'm finding with the metalheads, especially in that follow the underground scene, you know, they tend to buy things like vinyl and merch and stuff like that as well to try and support the bands, and because they love it as well.
Oh yeah, it's the thing is, I actually own a few vinyls. Not even because I have a vinyl player. I've just got them because I'm stupid with my money when it comes to metal. Like I literally, when we first started isolating and I lost work and I had all this like settling for the first time, started paying people something you could actually live off. I spent like within that first like 2 or 3 weeks over $1,000 on CDs. Like, and that's still not enough because I keep buying. Like I've been buying, especially Australian, like, you'll see it from me because you've recently added me on Facebook. You'll see me do the post where I've just brought in all these new Aussie CDs. I take a photo of them all and just do that. Like it's just become a thing I do. Whenever I get Aussie stuff in, I'll take a photo of it all. And at least, I feel like that way I can at least help those bands get some, you know, some people might go, oh, if he bought all this, I'll check some of it out, you know?
Yeah, to try and promote the scene a little bit because we have so many top quality bands. I done the same because I'm on a pension, so when I started getting that extra money as well, I was bad. I was buying merch instead of the CDs. I was buying tons of merch because, you know, I was thinking, man, the government's not doing much. It was kind of a kickback, you know, was it flow on economics a little bit to spend the money on the bands. And I was the same in that first couple of months. I spent about $1,000 on merch as well. And I put in a ton of pre-orders. So I'm still waiting. My mail is going to come in one day. In a couple of weeks, I'm just going to get heaps of stuff coming in as well. So it's cool. I've done the exact same thing.
Well, don't you love forgetting you've ordered something and it comes in like, oh, I ordered that ages ago. Fuck yeah. Like, yeah, it is, it's like, it's better than Christmas for me. Like, you know, it's just,
it's
yeah.
good. It's a great feeling to support, you know what I mean? Like yourself, that's probably a big thing too. Not only are you, you know, supporting a band you like in the scene, you're a part of the scene, you're in a band, but you're also supporting other bands. And that's one thing I find really great about this metal scene in Australia. A lot of bands support each other. So a lot of bands, like you were saying with K-Rulian, come on and they, you know, done some bits here and there for you. And the bands, most of the bands, like pretty well all the bands in Australia are so good at supporting each other. Not only are they in bands, they're fans as well, buying merch and supporting other bands and helping lift each other up. So, you know, it's a great thing to see.
It's better to be for each other than against each other because unfortunately, you know, there's always going to be that cattiness or that fucking, you know, gossip girl bullshit that even goes on along the metal crowds. Like you think it wouldn't, but it does. We're not that much different from the main population. And some of the best people I've met in my life are from metal. Yep. And when humans get together, they still act shitty. So, and unfortunately, the metal crowds can be like that. But when this whole isolation, like when the COVID thing goes away, and you know, it's just we can ease back into normal life. I'm very interested to see how things are because you know, Brisbane up here, we already lost a venue up here that was very prominent. Yeah, for metal was the Crowbar because now they're just in Sydney. And like, because they'd already merged with another venue called the Bright Side, and that was very short lived. And then COVID, so they've decided to move down, and they'd been basically the venue for Brisbane for a very long time for like any, you know, a lot of metal bands and what have you. So I'm interested to see where it's going to go, because like we're looking at venues like the Woolly Mammoth, the Bright Side still, you know, and obviously there's been other venues, but you know, like that one specific venue that's going to be the hometown for Brisbane heavy metal, you know, like it's going to be very interesting to watch, because yeah, but that's it. Like, I guess with Crowbar it was the end of an era. Now it's time for something post COVID, I guess, and we'll see
see what happens. I'm hoping, like, I know for sure we will not get any international acts this year, so I'm hoping it's not happening. But that's the thing. I think that's also a positive for me. I love all these international bands. Don't get me wrong. It's great. But I'm extremely passionate about our Australian scene and the metal bands and the scene we have here in Australia, the metal, the hard rock, the punk, and the music we have here in Australia. So I'm hoping that through all of this, the people, you know, have been making time to check out Aussie bands, Aussie music, and supporting, like we were saying, buying merch. But I'm hoping when the scene starts up again, people get along and support these bands like yourself, like Awful Noise, and we mentioned K. Rowling before. But there's so many great bands. It's insane from Australia, you know. I really want people to get along and support this scene, because we've been there. Me and you have both been to shows, and we've had these great bands, and you're sitting there and you turn around and you've got, 50, 100 people in the crowd, and you're going, what the actual fuck, man? So I'm hoping that we have people actually get along and support this scene we have here in Australia, because we really need to get along and support it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people that just go out to international shows need to open their minds and understand that all the big touring bands that they fell in love with that are on Nuclear Blast or Metal Blade or anything like that, they were local bands. Of course, you can't, like, I personally, I used to go out to shows all the time, and I tell you, after a while, it does start to stagnate, especially if you see the same band play at the same venue every 4 weeks, and I have done that before. And a lot of local bands need to learn that, well, yes, you need to get the greenness out, you need to get on stage and, you know, get better, and that's how you get better, is by live performance. But the thing is that you can't oversaturate yourself, and you also, especially with the internet nowadays, it shouldn't be that hard to get people, like, to get your music out there, to at least be able to have some people that will always want to come out and watch you if you play live, especially if you only do it selectively.
Yep.
Because you do it regularly, anyone can see you any other weekend. You need to do it scarcely, or you need to be doing more traveling. Like, and I guess with Australia, like, you know, touring for international bands, they can only do the major cities. There's not a lot of good, there's not a huge guarantee in playing some of the, so like, you can't have Cannibal Corpse or Dying Fetus play like the Gold Coast and Brisbane. Like, it wouldn't work. Whereas when you're a local band, you can easily do that. You'll be playing smaller venues, and you'll be playing to smaller crowds. But if you can get at least a decent sized, I guess, small crowd, in that technical sense of, like, I know, because because being that you're down in New South Wales, I don't know if you
Adelaide.
Adelaide, sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess you were Tom, I assume that. Assumptions, I shouldn't do that. We had a venue up here called Rosie's, and where am I going with this? I'm just going fucking blank.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I want to come make a point on that. Like, the shows and the talent, like up there, it was the Dead of Winter show, and I know there's a few other really good festivals that are put on, which are Australian metal bands, and I know they do the same in New South Wales. And for me, it was the Heavy SA and New Dead Metal Fest, which Northie from Truth Corroded puts on. I went to that a number of years ago. The Heavy SA, then I went to the New Dead Metal Fest, and that was one of the shows. I was the same as you. I used to just accept what was drip fed from the mainstream record companies or whatever. But when I walked into that show, that blew me away. And from that moment on, I was like, this is the fucking talent we have here in Australia. I was like, from this moment on, I'm going to do everything I can to try and promote this scene we have here in Australia, because it just blew me away when I went in and seen the quality of bands we have here. I was like, dude, this is insane. Like, I don't know what the hell the rest of these people are doing that aren't here, but they need to get on board the talent we have here in Australia.
Mm. Well, like, see, I run my own festival, Ungrateful Dead Fest, with Ewan from the band. Well, he's from multiple bands. That you can go through many, but Nails of Imposition, Face Grinder, etc. He does the Perth version, and I'm the Queensland boy. Yep. And yeah, like I guess because there's so, unfortunately up in Queensland, like there's just so many fests been running. You can end up with only just a small crowd of 50 to 70. Where if it's a 10 plus band festival, you think there'd at least be like 150 or something. Because yeah, like I remember when I'm from Coffs Harbour originally, a small little city on the coast. And I used to travel up for gigs. Like I saw Disentomb on the first 3 gigs they ever played. I used to go up there quite a bit, and shows you wouldn't see less than 100 people.
Yeah.
And that was a regular, like if you had a show and it was like 80 pays, it'd be like, oh, that was a bit of a slack crowd. But now it's like you're lucky if you get 50 in nowadays. And
you hit on a good point about Disentomb there, though. Like you were saying, you went and seen Disentomb when they were starting out. Look at them now, and they go over to Europe and they sell out these packed venues, and yet they come back over here to Australia, and like you're saying, you get these smaller crowds, and you're sitting there going, "What is wrong?"
Disentomb would definitely be playing to bigger crowds because they just did things the right way. They were also coming out at the same time when you had venues like you had Rosie's, which was just like those shows were always really big. Even the lesser known lineups would always have a decent show, and like they were around at the right time, and they also did the right things, and that's how come they've done so well from what I've, especially watching them from since their inception to now, and they've gotten better as a band, because that's what inspired me, because at the time I was doing a band called Disciples of Torture, and I was real brutal death metal, and we were trying to sort of follow in Disentomb's footprints before we fucking carved it. So now with Awful Noise, we take influence from everyone else. We're trying to pave our own way. We're not we're happy to we know that it's, you do it for the love. That's the first thing, but we're not stupid, we're not going to fly anywhere and just do it and be like, oh, we actually ask for some form of payments, because that's, as a band, you need to do things on a professional level as well. That's the issue with a lot of bands in the music scene, is that they don't understand that there is a business aspect to it that needs to be looked at. Because I'm always asked if I can manage bands and that, and I've stopped doing that now because it was just unnecessary. Like in the end, you either need to pay someone to be a promotions manager for you to promote you, because managing, unless you're actually on road touring all the time, which is not that common here in Australia, especially right of now, no one's touring nowadays. You don't really need a manager. Just get someone in the band, the most business-minded person in the band, to do it, and just make sure you've got your goals set. Yes, you're doing it for the love of it, but you need to treat it seriously, especially if you want to go places. If you want to go interstate or international-wise, you need to have some form of a business-savvy professional attitude to you, because you go over there, if you want to pay for it yourself, that's probably going to happen. But the thing is that you've got to be willing to you've got to have that. So in the end, you've got to make back something to make the trip worthwhile, because yes, going back through the memories and any even messed up show, it's an absolute blast. But especially in this day and age where you're an adult nowadays, you can't really be throwing money around just to play to 20 people. So you've got to treat it sort of like a business, but you can't also you can't just turn into Donald Trump, just become oh, I'm going to rule everything and own everything. I don't care about, you've got to do things to love it as well. So it's a good mix,
Exactly. I know what you're saying. And that comes down to, as we were saying this time, talking about the live shows where bands like yourself would play a live show. It's not necessarily the price you're getting through the door. It's about meeting the fans as well and selling merch.
Yeah.
And at this time, you can't even play these live shows. So you have fans come in, they watch your show, then you just come over to the merch stand and you're able to connect with your fans. They buy a CD, they buy a shirt, they buy some metal patches or whatever. You know, it makes it important for people to get along and really support guys like yourself. So that being said, where's the best place we can get along, you know, and chuck in a pre-order for this Segregation split, you know, and you know, check out your other splits there and support you guys going forward with what you got going on.
Well, yeah, like we're on Bandcamp. You can the Segregation split is up for digital pre-order. I will be uploading the CD and tape pre-orders as soon as I get can get a good photo of them to add up, because you can't do it without the photos, which, you know, it's more than 5. And yeah, like, because we really, like, as right as of now, like, we have a new drummer sorted. We're right as of now not only teaching them the songs, but we're working on new stuff. We're looking at a music video, of course, for the album. So we're not going to rush it. That's why we haven't done any gigs because there are some gigs up here in Queensland. And we've been asked to play some, and we just sort of have said no because we don't want to rush anything. But I do look forward to it, man, like to getting back on stage. Like, we want to come down and play Adelaide. We want to play, we've done Perth a few times. We're looking at Sydney, do Melbourne. We did Bendigo 2 years ago, I think it was. And I'll tell you, it's always humbling when, you know, talking to people who buy your music, ask for signatures. We've done a few signings, and I even have a friend down in Victoria who got an AN tattoo on his wrist.
I seen that. That looked really, really cool, dude.
Yeah, that is very humbling. Like, I was very stoked on that. Like, the Orphanoise could finish in the next year or two and be done, but like, this bloke's got that on him forever, you know? Like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, man, that's love, dude. I've done the same, getting band tattoos. You just do it because you love your band that much, dude. It's crazy. Lindon, this has been an absolute pleasure, man. I could talk all night, dude. This has been really fun. We'll have to have another chat once the album drops, man, and dive into that a little bit more for sure, man. This was so much fun. But before I sign out, man, do you have any last words, shout-outs, or thank yous you want to add in there, mate?
Well, thank you for doing this with me, man. Like, been an absolute pleasure, and I'll look forward to definitely hitting you up in regards to the album, and especially when hopefully we'll have announced our new drummer, and maybe I'll have someone standing in the background with me besides my brother with his kid. But yeah, thanks to anyone who's supported us over the years. Like, we can guarantee you that any patience that you've had for this album, we'll make sure it's worth your while, because not only is the album going to sound great, everything that's coming out of the band that's going to be new is just going to be even better than the album. Like, we're really trying to flesh out these songs, so I cannot fucking wait to get on the stage again with even more new songs and the album songs, you know? Like, it's going to be absolutely tits come 2021.
Lindon, I can't wait to catch up, meet you in person, catch Awful Noise, and mosh out into some fucking grindcore, dude. Thank you very much, man.
You're very welcome, mate. Stay safe.
You too.